workshop where we're going to talk about mental wellness. We have a very good speaker with us, Joyce Martyr, psychotherapist, psychotherapist, author, uh, entrepreneur, speaker, you name it, everything. She even wrote an amazing book that I'm sure you guys are going to read after this presentation. But before we jump in, I want to say that this workshop is going to be recorded and you'll be able to watch it anytime on YouTube. Soon later, will be published also on Instagram. So don't worry about it if you cannot stay all the way around. Feel free also to ask any questions during the live workshop. We'll be happy to answer you. And especially let us know in the comments where you're from, if you know Big View, and tell us what you do as well. So we're going to learn about mental wellness. How can you turn your psychology around with all your financial things, with all the money, so you can get a healthy lifestyle, healthy mindset. You can make the right choices. So Joyce, welcome to this workshop. We're very excited. So how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Philip. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to those who are attending. I'm excited to share this information with you. I'm very, very passionate about it.
I'm sure. Amazing. And I'll be very happy to be here sitting and listening to this amazing presentation that you prepared for us. So if you need me, I'm always here. And I'm going to show right now your presentation. And good luck, Joyce. Stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Philip. And hi, everyone. As Philip said, my name is Joyce Martyr. I've been a licensed psychotherapist now for 25 years. I find my work extremely emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually rewarding. I'm an entrepreneur that founded and sold Urban Balance, which is a large outpatient mental health company in the United States with 17 locations. I'm an international public speaker. I talk a lot about mental health awareness and also the psychology of money, which is our topic for today. And I hope that you find this presentation inspirational and informative. I'm going to be sharing lots of tools from psychology to help you improve your finances. So I'm very excited about this topic. So early on in my practice, I noticed something really interesting. As I was working with my therapy clients, it didn't matter what they were coming in for as their presenting issue, whether it was depression, anxiety, relationship issues, grief and loss. Suddenly, they were making more money. Client after client was coming into my office and telling me they were getting raises and promotions and starting their own businesses or side hustle. And I thought, why in the heck is this happening? We're not even talking about money in therapy. And I realized it's because we are always working on their underlying self esteem or self worth. And as we feel better about ourselves, we put ourselves out in the world with more confidence, more assertiveness. We expand our comfort zones. We have the courage to put ourselves out there and try new things. And we also negotiate. So there's a financial return. So I applied this to my own journey as an entrepreneur, and it helped me tremendously. I've seen in my practice and through my own entrepreneurial journey that there's a surprising and very powerful relationship between mental health and financial health. When our mental health is suffering, when we're dealing with depression or anxiety or addiction or low self esteem, that can negatively impact our careers, our professional productivity, and our financial reality. And when our finances are poor, if we have financial traumas or hardship, that can cause depression, anxiety, and even post traumatic stress disorder. And I found that when we address our mental health and our psychology, it can actually improve our finances. And that's the topic for today. Philip mentioned that I am the author of a new book called The Financial Mindset Fix, and it's a mental fitness program for an abundant life. This wheel is an exercise in my book, it's the thesis of my book. And each chapter of the book is one of these spokes on this wheel. And each of those chapters is a mindset that I've identified through 25 years of counseling thousands of clients to be the keys to holistic success. I use the wheel as a symbol because it's a symbol of wholeness and balance. And my book is a program with step by step instructions and exercises, and tons of exercises actually for you to complete so that you can build the skills toward these mindsets to improve both your mental health and your financial health. I worked with a PhD researcher, Simon Golden, who found that each of these 12 mindsets does improve mental health and lead to financial prosperity. So I love to help people with the psychology of money. We all know that the basics of money management is not rocket science. We know that we need to earn more than we spend and we need to save and invest. However, most of us struggle with money, and it's our psychology that makes it difficult. It's our thinking about money. What does money mean to us? What are our belief systems about money? Do we have fear based or catastrophic thoughts around finances? How does that impact our financial reality? Many of us struggle with different emotions around money. Maybe you've dealt with financial anxiety, like I have, or you have fear or overwhelm, so you avoid dealing with your money. I'm going to help you manage those emotions differently. We also want to look at our behaviors around money. Do we deal with compulsive overspending? Are we not financially conscious? Do we have poor boundaries in our financial relationships? And how do we treat our money? Imagine if your finances were a person. How's your relationship with that person? Are you kind to them? Do you take care of them? How do you treat your finances? I'm going to help you explore this today. So I'll share with you a little secret. We therapists often specialize in our own issues, and I have dealt with tremendous financial anxiety. We are all shaped and molded by our family of origin and our earlier life experiences, and we unconsciously recreate what's familiar. My father was born during the Great Depression. So he lived during a time where there was a scarcity mindset. People were afraid that there weren't enough resources for everyone. So there was fear and competition. He grew up in the inner city of Cleveland. His parents worked in a factory. He lived in an apartment with extended family and had fears of going without. That shaped his financial perspective, even though he went on to become a successful executive. When I was a child, he became unemployed and was unemployed throughout most of my adolescence. And this caused me to have a scarcity mindset and financial anxiety. In my business, I made many mistakes that I will share with you that I learned from. And my biggest mistake was that I didn't seek business or financial consultation soon enough. And I found myself in cash flow hell. There was a moment in my business where so much money was outstanding from insurance companies that I didn't have the cash to pay my staff and my rent. I dealt with insomnia and panic attacks and overwhelm, tremendous financial anxiety. I use the tools in my book and those that I share with you in this workshop today to turn that ship around, along with the help of many, many people who helped me and guided me and lifted me up. Our support network is the key to success. I started my business with $500, 50,000 of student loans. I put a lien on my home. There was one point I thought I'd have to file business bankruptcy. And 4 years ago, I was able to successfully sell my business for a seven-figure amount and more than I would have ever imagined I would make in my lifetime. I want to teach you how to recover from financial trauma and how to welcome prosperity. Financial traumas can be experienced because of racism, discrimination, or marginalization. So I want you to honor if you've experienced that kind of discrimination that has negatively impacted your finances. That is a trauma. Poverty is a trauma. Unemployment, having a business fail, even going through a divorce that was very costly, or having unexpected healthcare expenses, going through bankruptcy, being the victim of a theft. These are all financial traumas, and we cannot process trauma like we do usual life experiences, and they get locked in our psyches and in our bodies. We can even experience financially triggered post traumatic stress disorder. Now, we know the pandemic has wreaked havoc on our mental health and financial health. But even prior to the pandemic, 23% of adults in the US and 36% of millennials, so young adults, experience financial stress at levels that qualify for post traumatic stress disorder. I bet you didn't know that. I think many of us think of PTSD as being something that war veterans experience or people who've been through horrible assaults. So we want to honor that financial struggle can be a trauma, and therapy or counseling can be helpful in helping us heal from those traumatic experiences. This is something that I find of great concern as a mental health practitioner. Financial distress accounts for 16% of suicides in the United States. Suicide is at a global 30-year high. And financial stress triggers some people to have suicidal thoughts and feelings. This is of great concern. And I want all of us to recognize we are not our financial problems. We are not our bank account. We are not our titles. We are our spirit. We are our essence, that deeper, higher self within. Our finances are how we are, not who we are. Help is available. Financial struggle is temporary. No shame, no stigma. You can move through it using the tools from this presentation. As a therapist, I think we all can benefit from therapy or counseling at different points in our lives. I found it transformational. When I started graduate school, I was afraid that my professors were going to see that I deal with anxiety and that they were going to be like, you can't be a therapist. But guess what? We all have issues as part of the human condition, and counseling or therapy or other self reflective or spiritual programs can help you honor your past and honor how your past has shaped and molded you into who you are, and how you're unconsciously recreating themes and patterns from the past because they're familiar. And when we become aware, we can choose something better. So we all unconsciously recreate the familiar until we become conscious and we take responsibility for our life going forward. We are not just the protagonist of our own life story, we are also the author. The emotions around money. On the left of this slide in the plum color are some of the negative emotions about money that we all, I think, experience at different points. We might have feelings of inadequacy or shame, fear, overwhelm, disempowerment, maybe feeling hopeless, or even having guilt around having money if others around you are struggling. And I want to help you shift from the negative emotions on the left to the positive emotions on the right, to feel worthy, to feel deserving, to feel confident, to have financial peace and serenity, to feel empowered and hopeful about your financial future. This program and my book and this presentation are not about materialism, excess, or greed. I really believe that when we do our inner work and we align our unique gifts with a need in the world to the greatest extent possible, we shine a light and we can lift others up. And when we have more, we can help more. For example, as my business recovered and became stronger, I could hire more people. I could provide internships or therapy services at a sliding fee or pro bono rate. We can give to charities. When you have more, you can become a philanthropist. So it's about being of greater service and having more to offer to the world. So I want to help you shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. The first chapter of my book tells you exactly how. And you remember me sharing that my father had a scarcity mindset because he grew up during the Great Depression. For those of us now going through the pandemic, many of us are having a scarcity mindset. Here in the US, there's been competition over resources like toilet paper or gasoline or produce, and people are hoarding because there's fear that there's not going to be enough. So, a scarcity mindset causes competition over resources, and it's self limiting. It's rooted in limiting beliefs, and it's focused on lack. It's when you think about what you don't have and you feel bad about that. On the other hand, an abundance mindset involves being grateful, looking at the good parts, being thankful for what you do have, and being open to possibilities, expanding your thinking, and knowing that there's enough resources, enough jobs, food, money, opportunities, love for all of us. And that we don't have to be competitive, we can be collaborative. And it also involves owning your worth and believing in yourself, which is one of the core components of my program. One of my favorite practices as a mental health professional are mindfulness practices like deep breathing and meditation and yoga. And in mindfulness practices, they talk about flow, the flow of the breath, the flow of love, the flow of energy in the body. Money has flow as well. Money is a resource, it's energy that flows in and out. And it's up to us to manage that energy, to generate that energy, and to find that balance of spending and saving, and to create strong, healthy flow. We don't want to have a stagnant financial situation where we're hoarding and we're not spending and we're not nurturing or growing our finances. And we also don't want to spend so much that we don't have anything left. So we need to plan for we need to plan and tolerate ebbs and flows in our earning and spending. We need to appreciate that our finances have seasons. Depending on how old you are and where you're at in your life, you may be dealing with different financial challenges. Maybe you are someone who is figuring out how to pay off your student loans. Maybe you're looking to buy your first car or your first home, or maybe you're facing empty nest or retirement. Understanding that where you're at in your life, you're going to have a different financial reality in terms of stressors and opportunities. And one of my main messages is to invest in yourself. So, again, I want you to think about what were some of your early money experiences or money traumas? And what is your money script? What are your beliefs about money? I remember my therapist said to me, Joyce, what does money mean to you? What do you think of when I say the word money? And I said, oh, I think of stress. And she said, well, no wonder you make it go away. So I had to shift my thinking to think about money as a resource and one of which I was deserving. So I want you to think about what are some of your early life messages about money? In one of my recent blogs for Psychology Today, I have a blog called Mental Wealth that I hope you'll check out. It's on the free landing page that Philippe is sharing with you, where you'll have access to these slides and many exercises from my book, as well as a link to my blog from Psychology Today, links to be able to buy my book, and other resources. So, one of my clients I was working with her on her psychology of money. And she came into my office for her therapy appointment and she said, Joyce, it is my mother's issues with money that's making me buy ugly shoes. And I laughed and I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And she said, my mother was so frugal. She was so cheap that she drilled into our heads not to buy nice things. And she said, I internalized that belief to mean I'm not worth having nice things. So even though she had a successful career, she bought very inexpensive shoes and had a closet filled with them and felt unattractive and not good about herself in her shoes. And it was her precocious 10-year-old daughter that said, Mom, why do you have all these ugly shoes? Why don't you just buy a few pairs of really cute shoes that you love and feel good about? And so this client made the connection about some old family beliefs getting recreated in her current financial life. And the outcome of this realization was she had actually spent less on shoes, not more, and also was taking good care of herself. So we learn our money scripts from our families of origin and earlier life experiences. And I have a blog on my Psychology Today blog about really looking at your family belief systems. So people who worship money, money worship is one of the scripts. And that's the idea that money is going to make you happy. It is something that you desire, and you look up to people who have a lot of money. Money status is when you think that you are going to feel better about yourself. You're going to have higher self esteem because you have more money, and the idea that stuff makes you worthy. Money avoidance is when money is overwhelming or fearful or stressful for you. And so you don't want to talk about it. I definitely am a person who is recovering from being money avoidant. I would love to hear from you in the chat. Which of these do you identify with? Which is your money script? Money vigilance is when you are on it. You are budgeting, you're financially conscious, you pay attention to your spending, and you that is the healthiest money script. So we all want to work toward that and certainly move away from money avoidance. And if there's anything I've learned as a therapist, it's that money doesn't bring happiness. Our happiness is internal, but when we're happy, we actually can make more money, and have a more prosperous life. So I want you to understand, is your unconscious robbing you of riches? Are you unknowingly self sabotaging your financial reality? Because what you don't know will hurt you. Do you have defense mechanisms like denial kicking in? You don't know how much you're spending, or you're not aware of your debt. You maybe are overspending. Maybe it has to do with dealing with an addiction in yourself or in a loved one that's costing you financially. So I want you to have financially conscious behavior. Again, moving from the words on the left to the words on the right. So moving from denial to awareness, from being uninformed to being informed. Financial literacy is when you're informed, you know how to read a financial report or a bank statement, or you know how to create a budget and stick to it. We also need to move away from blame. Do you blame your parents, your past relationships, your employer, the government for your financial difficulty? Instead of moving from blame, move to responsibility. That's a lot more empowering. And take control over what you can do to improve your financial life. I want you to think about your relationships and your financial relationships. Finances are one of the main reasons that people seek couples therapy. And it's one of the main reasons that people get divorced. It's in the top three. So it's really important to have a system of communication with your partner or your roommate or your kids or anyone with whom you have a financial relationship. Create systems for organizing your money and have regular financial check ins, not just when there's a problem. You also want to learn how to set healthy financial limits in your relationships and let go of undue guilt or anxiety. So, with our children, my kids are teenagers, they're 16 and 19, and I have stepchildren who are 23 and 25. So, all at different levels of adulting. And we want to give, as parents, we want to give our kids financial roots and wings. So we want to not enable them and we want to foster some independence. So we need to set some limits in your relationships, your dating relationships, or your partnerships. You want to set healthy financial boundaries that feel fair and safe and comfortable for you. I want you to be mindful of financial infidelity. This is something I see often as a therapist. This is when one partner has secret debt, secret credit cards, or perhaps they have secret assets. In the worst case scenario, I've even worked with clients who had partners who had other relationships that they were financially supporting. So, being aware of financial infidelity and how that can be a betrayal in your relationship. You want to have financial transparency and honesty because trust is the foundation of relationships. Now, in our world, especially here in the United States, we're having a tremendous issue with addiction, with the opioid epidemic, and even with the pandemic, rates of alcohol and drug use are on the rise. And many of us, in fact, about seven of us have a loved one. Sorry, 7 out of 10 of us. Is that right? One out of every seven of us has a loved one who has a problem with drugs or alcohol. And when we have someone in our life who has a problem with addiction, or maybe they have a mental health issue that causes them to not be able to work, sometimes we end up financially supporting them or even financially enabling them. So we want to learn how to have healthy boundaries in those relationships so that we're not enabling others. This wheel is on that free giveaway, that free landing page that I'm sharing with you. And this is a PDF that you can download, and it's a handout that you can complete to assess your financial health. So, the way that this works, each spoke of this wheel is a different aspect of financial health. Are you budgeting? Are you paying your bills on time? Are you saving and investing? Are you owning your worth? And the way the exercise works is that you place a dot on each spoke of the wheel. If you're doing great in a certain area, you'd put the dot toward the outside of the wheel. If it's an area that you're struggling in, your dot would go more toward the center of the wheel. After you've gone around all of the spokes, you connect your dots and you identify where you have dents in the wheel. We are all human. We're all works in progress. Nobody is perfect. No shame. This is just to help you become aware of the areas in which you need to focus to improve your financial health and wellness. Financial literacy is really important. Unfortunately, I see often in my couples, even with highly educated people, if one partner is more financially literate than the other, this can cause issues of imbalance in power and control in the relationship. So it's important for all of us to understand personal finance. Perhaps take a class at your local community center, take a course online, listen to money podcasts, read financial books, and learn to understand the basics of budgeting, banking, investing, reading reports. This is going to help you feel more empowered. So I'm not the only one who noticed the connection between self-worth and net worth. Susie Orman, the best-selling financial author and advisor, noticed that your net worth will rise to meet your self-worth only if your self-worth rises to accept what can be yours. And this is what I saw with my therapy clients. Again, we have to feel deserving of prosperity. We have to believe that, we have to own that. And when we do, we shift the way we relate with money, and it can improve our net worth or our assets and our financial health. So I believe that we're all beggars sitting on a golden bench. One of my favorite things as a therapist is to mirror back to my clients all of their unique strengths and gifts and all that is beautiful and amazing about them, and empowering them to align those gifts with a need in the world and to the greatest extent possible. And what I've seen is that many of us are sitting on talents that we have left untapped. Maybe you have a business plan in you that you've never implemented. Maybe you have a promotion you'd like to go for or a job you'd like to apply to, but you haven't sent your resume. Maybe you've written a screenplay or created a piece of art that you haven't shared with anyone. So I want you to own your unique gifts and talents, to have healthy self esteem and confidence so you can put yourself out in the world differently. I believe it is our self limitation that causes us financial ceilings. I share in my book that I remember years ago setting benchmarks for my salary, and every year I made exactly what my goal was, but no more. And it was until I started to blow the lid off of those ceilings and welcome a life of abundance that I started to welcome greater prosperity. So we have to move through those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs that keep us stuck. These are some photos of me in New York City on my recent book tour. Look at them closely. There I am with Jimmy Fallon, the Dalai Lama, Oprah. Okay, I'm just kidding. This was me at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in New York. But I was using an important psychological technique developed by Alfred Adler. In Adlerian psychology, he suggested acting as if. So if you have a dream that you would like to actualize, act as if you've already achieved it. So these are some of my dreams. So by going through this silly exercise of pretending, it actually helps you expand into the idea that this is possible. My book was actually rejected for 10 years by different publishers. It was very depressing. I was starting to become hopeless until I acted as if I was Brene Brown, who's one of my heroes. I would walk around my house and I would say, I am like Brene Brown. I'm an international bestseller and speaker. And you know what? It caused me to change my behaviors, and I landed Brene Brown's publisher. Sounds true. So this can happen for you too. I want you to use cognitive behavioral therapy. So, cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most supported forms of therapy, and it asserts that our thoughts precede our emotions and our behaviors. So, if we have self limiting or negative beliefs, they're going to keep us stuck through the power of self fulfilling prophecy. In my book, I share exercises like this where you can restructure your thoughts and beliefs to be more positive, to welcome greater prosperity and abundance. I love this quote from Michelle Obama. She says, am I good enough? Yes, I am. And that's what I believe for you as well. This is another gift to you on the free landing page. This is my abundance wheel. And this exercise will help you see how you're doing with each of the ways that you can have an abundance mindset. Again, if you're doing well in a certain area, the dot goes toward the outside of the wheel. If you're struggling in that area, the dot goes toward the inside. And when you connect the dots, you can identify your areas of needed development. And my book has tons of strategies and tools and tips that are proven from psychology to help you cultivate an abundance mindset that's creative and open and flexible and focused on growth and expansion. but you have to care enough about yourself to welcome the life you deserve. And this is what I experienced in my life. I really had to work at caring enough about myself. As a people pleaser and a caretaker, I tended to put everyone before myself. And actually, that isn't good for anybody. It's not selfish to practice self care. It's actually essential because when we fill our own cup, we have much more to give. So the ego can cause a lot of trouble financially, and we all have egos as part of the human condition. The ego is our mind's understanding of ourselves. But we're not just our ego. We have our essence, our soul, our authentic self, our spirit within. And when we can detach from ego, which our egos are defensive, they're prideful, they also house our inner critic, our imposter syndrome. When we can detach from ego and align with our essence, we can find our deeper purpose in the world. We can learn how to move through imposter syndrome. If you're feeling like a fraud, you've written some songs, but it seems silly to call yourself an artist. That's imposter syndrome. That's your ego keeping you small. Or maybe you're waiting for that song or that book to be perfect before you put it out in the world. That's going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you from moving forward. So I want you to work on your relationship with yourself and choose self-acceptance, self-love, self-affirmation over self-sabotage. And again, this isn't selfish. I always say that healthy self-esteem is midway between diva and doormat. And dudes can be divas too. So the divas are grandiose and entitled and not respectful of other people's boundaries. And they can also live beyond their financial means. The doormat suffers from low self-worth. Actually, they both do. It's just in different ways. The diva doesn't actually feel good about himself or herself. They mask it by acting like a peacock. The doormat feels poorly about themselves and allows their boundaries to be compromised. They're often under earners and don't assert themselves or negotiate. In the middle is healthy self esteem. That's when we embrace our worth. We recognize we're not perfect. We all have issues and areas in which we can continue to heal and develop, but we demonstrate respect for ourselves and others. We set healthy boundaries in our financial relationships, and we have a healthy balance between saving and spending. So, again, the key is always remembering that you are always enough. Even if you're dealing with financial struggle, you are exactly where you should be and you can move forward. Often, our challenges carve deep wisdom into our being and make us stronger. So, instead of being your worst critic, I encourage you to cultivate a healthy relationship with yourself. Learn how to be your own loving parent. Maybe you didn't have the best parents growing up, but you can take care of yourself, including financially. You can take care of your health and wellness as you would somebody you love very, very much. You can also relate to yourself with self-compassion, like you're your own best friend. And you can also be your own positive coach or compassionate advocate. And my book teaches you step by step how to do that. This is another gift for you, and it's one of my favorite. It's the self care wheel. In the pandemic, most of us are struggling with burnout and exhaustion and depletion. And we don't often measure our self care, but this wheel on every spoke is a different aspect of self love or self care, including some that are physical. Are you getting enough sleep, proper nutrition? Are you hydrating? Are you moderating your substances? Some are psychological. Are you practicing self affirmation and self forgiveness? And some of them are lifestyle, such as are you unplugging from technology? Are you cultivating healthy work life balance? Are you connecting with nature? The more you take care of yourself, including financially, the better you're going to do in your work and in your financial health. We talked about the negative emotions around money, and detachment is an extremely useful mindfulness strategy to help surf the waves of negative emotions. This quote is from my own therapist. Yes, even therapists have therapists. Again, I think it's like having a personal trainer for your mind or your relationships or even your finances. And Arlene said to me, feelings are waves of energy which we can choose to surf rather than allowing them to overcome us. So, detachment involves healthy separation from our own negative emotions like fear or anger or sadness. So, obviously, we want to honor our feelings as normal and natural responses to everything that we've been through, but we want to observe our feelings before allowing them to overtake us so that we can be responsive and thoughtfully conscious in our responses to people rather than emotionally reactive. We can also use detachment to detach from the negative emotions of others. So, if somebody is being toxic or angry or hostile with you, you can observe them and their emotional process, and you can be empathic and compassionate, but not absorb their negativity into your being. Sometimes we need to detach from our expectations so that we don't set ourselves up for disappointment. And we even have to detach from outcome. And these are really important skills, especially as we're dealing with the uncertainty of the pandemic. So, detachment's also important if you're going to invest or you're going to start your own business. Because if you worry about all the unknowns, you're going to experience a lot of anxiety. So, you need to be able to compartmentalize and zoom out, not look at your investments every day and feel the lows when your portfolio dips. You want to be able to zoom out and know that you're okay regardless of how your finances are performing on a given day. So applying finances to money involves being present in your financial life, being rooted in the here and now so that you can spend mindfully and that you can make financial decisions from a place of being really connected to yourself, having a gut feeling. When I sold my business, I used mindfulness to use my intuition to choose a healthy buyer. I had 50 prospective buyers and 8 offers. And mindfulness really helped me use emotional intelligence to make good financial decisions. Earlier, I mentioned thinking about your financial life as if it were a person. And I recommend that you name your financial life. Name your financial life and think about, are you good to them? Do you treat them well? I used to not treat my financial life well at all. Back in my early 30s, my financial life would have been named Penny. I was ashamed of her. I think I was even abusive to her. I was neglectful. I expected a whole lot out of her without putting much into her. I didn't introduce her to anyone because of shame and fear. And that cost me a lot. So now I've named my financial life Prosperity. And I know she's a direct reflection of my own feelings of self worth. So I take her very, very seriously. I meet with my financial planners regularly. I take care of her. I talk about her to others. So I want you to think about this. What would your financial life be called? My 25-year-old stepdaughter is an artist, and she said that her financial life would be named Jeffrey. She said he's a little scruffy and disheveled and scrappy and crabby. And she wants that to change. So she's working the program in my book. And I asked her, what do you want your financial life to be like? And she said, I want Jeffrey to be approachable and stable and secure. So another friend of mine said that her financial life is named Sally. She said Sally's wildly impractical and lots of fun, but she can't sleep at night because she's overspent and can't pay her bills. So she's working on taking good care of her financial life so that she can hang on to some of that cash. In order to make progress financially and mentally, psychologically, we need support. So I have another gift for you in the free downloads, and it's a support network wheel. This wheel is different than the other ones because you can write the names of the people who provide you with each type of support listed on the spokes. And then, like the other wheels, you're going to evaluate how supported you feel in each aspect. Now, when I've been giving global webinar presentations for corporations around the world, 95% of participants are saying that they need more emotional support. So check out my blog on how to give and receive more emotional support. That's also on that free landing page. So your support network is the key to success. I shared with you, I made the mistake of not seeking business and financial support, and it does not need to be expensive. There are services like in the US, there's Consumer Counseling Credit Service, which offers free budgeting, free financial literacy courses, free debt consolidation and planning. There are also 12-step support groups. So if you deal with gambling or overspending, compulsive overspending, or you're an under earner, you can participate in free anonymous online support groups to help you work on those issues. I think each and every one of us can benefit from a financial planner or advisor and to consult an accountant about our business or our taxes. So make sure that you have people in your life that are helping you with your finances. Even having an accountability partner, maybe a friend or a family member who also wants to improve their finances, and work on the program in my book together. It's important, and this again is one of my favorite things as a therapist. It's important to have a vision for your life. There's a tool in therapy called the miracle question. If you had a magic wand, what would you like your life to look like? Your home, your vacation, your vacations and lifestyle, your leisure time, your health and wellness, your romance, your career, financially, what do you want your life to look like? I like making a vision board every year. I've written a blog for Huffington Post on how to create a vision board, either with a poster board or digitally on Pinterest, and identify what you want to welcome into your life. And you can also create a business plan or a professional plan, a 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year professional or financial plan. I'm a big believer in finding a mentor, so make sure you're joining your professional association and you're networking so that you're increasing your support network and having others lift you up. Resilience is the ability to move through challenges and bounce back and persevere. And the pandemic has been a huge exercise in resilience. And many of us have realized we maybe don't have the mental, emotional, spiritual, or financial resilience that maybe we needed to successfully move through this pandemic. And so my book will help you cultivate emotional, spiritual, relational, and especially financial resilience so that you can bounce back and thrive and navigate other challenges in the future. I've been excited that my book has had some excellent press, including an interview in Forbes. The title of that article was How the Financial Mindset Fix Will Help You Conquer Your Money Blocks and Make You Rich. The book really is much more than that. It's a mental fitness program for an abundant life, which to me includes mental well-being, connected relationships, work-life balance, physical health, and financial prosperity. And my book is available on Amazon. It's on Audible. I was the narrator for the book. And it's also available in bookstores like Barnes and Noble, your favorite online indie book dealers. So I hope that you will check it out. I guess that is the end of my slideshow there. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And at this point, I want to thank you for your time and attention and welcome any questions. I see Philip has come back.
Thank you, Joyce. It was amazing. I mean, as you can see, all of that, there's a link of the book on the chat. So go ahead and check it out and feel free to download. And if you have any questions, it's the time to ask. So don't be shy. Feel free to ask any questions. And so, I mean, maybe I have a question for you, Joyce. So,
Yes.
I mean, let's say, for example, for the people that are, let's say, for example, in the category as low income, how they can challenge to be more financially better? Because sometimes people are in debt, and maybe it could be like credit card, and it's very hard to So you pretty much every month you're making money to pay out the credit card, and then every month is the same. So I heard that it's hard for them to go out of this cycle that is repeating. So I'm sure this is giving people very not a financial health, let's say. Mindset.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. And I know we've all been dealt a different hand of hardship and privilege. When I was 22, I had 50,000 of student loan debt. My salary was $18,000 a year. I lived in Chicago. It was enormously expensive. I lived paycheck to paycheck and accrued credit card debt and felt a lot of despair and fear and worry. And so I empower you to advance your education, do everything that you can to learn or find mentoring and find new opportunities, be assertive at your job to learn new skills and go for a promotion. Make sure that you ask for raises and increases. In my book, I have some tips about how to negotiate and how to ask for better pay and what to do to prepare for that. You may have to be willing to leave a job to go to a better job, or you might be able to start a side hustle. So maybe you have a full-time job that pays the bills or maybe provides you with insurance, but you need more income, was my situation. And that's when I started a little private practice on the side and saw a few therapy clients on my own. Maybe for you, I mean, so many people now are doing things like driving Uber or doing food delivery or being a personal shopper, some of these other jobs that can give you a little extra income, and then learning how to save that, how to not use the credit cards, how to be mindful of sometimes our egos cause us to spend because we think that we need the perfect clothes or the perfect car in order for other people to like us. And that's not true. We don't want to fall into those traps. So there's a lot you can do to move forward and just to remember it's temporary.
Amazing. I hope it helps this feedback to people. And Doris, I want to thank you very much for your presentation. I see that there's not any other questions. Is there anything that you want to give the audience before we end the session?
I want to thank Big View and thank you, Philip, and all the audience members. And I could use some Instagram love. So if anyone will follow me on Instagram, I'm going to put a shameless plug. It's joyce.martyr, Marter. I'd love to connect with you there.
Amazing, no problem. I'll share this workshop next week on Instagram, and I will tag you. So people that are following us, they can see your channel. And people can also subscribe to your YouTube channel. I see that you have some content there. So be welcome to go there and check it out. And, you get the free gifts. So make sure, you also have the link on the comments. And the last thing is the book. I'm sure if you really, if you understood this presentation, you really like, you want to take this farther, because this is like an introduction to it, go ahead and get this book. I'm sure it's always better to get new knowledge than not to get it. So it won't harm you, let's say.
Thank you so much, Philip. I appreciate that.
So thank you, Joyce. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. And thank you for being here. And if you need anything, we're here with Big View. Any videos to promote all your services, anything that you want to do, we're here. We're the right platform for a small business. And everybody that has a small business that wants to convey the message to the audience, Big View is here for them. So thank you very much. And so this is a goodbye to everybody. It was amazing. So thank you, Joyce, and hopefully we'll see you in the near future around Big View.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Amazing. All right. Bye.